Welcome to Wasatch Weekends. I'm your host, Ben Roof. We've got a great show in store for you today where we will take a look at the inaugural Red, White, and Blue Festival in Heber Valley, and we'll put some chicken on the grill for the holiday weekend. We'll also speak to Bill Humbert, the recruiter guy. But first, let's take a look at some local news. The Midway Farmers Market is starting today from 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. featuring fantastic local produce and local artisans. And this evening, there is going to be the Flying Aces All-Star Freestyle Show at the Utah Olympic Park starting at 6:30 p.m. It's a fantastic show full of aerial acrobatics. But first, let's take a quick look at what the weather is going to be like for these events.
This weather report is brought to you by Sun and Ski Sports, your new mountain sports headquarters.
Welcome back to Wasatch Weekends. I'm joined by Jessica Broadhead of Go Heber Valley to talk about their upcoming Red, White, and Blue Festival. Welcome to the show, Jessica.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
So, it's your first Heber Valley Red, White, and Blue celebration, correct?
Yes, this is the inaugural Red, White, and Blue Festival. There have been other celebrations in Heber City in the past, but nothing of this caliber, so we're super excited.
Well, it certainly seems like it is an action-packed event starting basically right at the crack of dawn. You want to tell us a little bit about all of the different activities that are available?
I'll just go right through the schedule. So between 6 and 8 a.m., we'll have hot air balloons taking off from the Heber Airport. You can pre-book rides for those. The information is on our website. And then we will have the traditional fire truck at the Main Street Park with a flag over Main Street all day long, just commemorating the day. We also have a sidewalk art contest that the Wasatch County Arts Council is sponsoring. So if you are a budding artist, bring your skills and enter to win some prizes. At 7 a.m., we have our 5K and our 10K run that start. This is the main-to-main run, so it starts at the Heber City Main Street Park, and the route takes you into Midway City's Main Street and then back up to Heber. We will have some biplane flyovers during that run. We have a flag ceremony that takes place at the Heber City Park at 8 a.m. The Rotary is sponsoring a breakfast from 8 to 10 a.m. at the Heber City Park, and it's $5 per person. It's a pancake breakfast with some sausage and some fruit, and then orange juice and milk and other things. We'll have a patriotic walk that the Wasatch County School District is sponsoring, and that will be on the same route as the 5K and 10K run. But we're inviting people to bring their leash dogs, to come dressed up, to dress up their pets. We'll also have some costumed presidents, the color guard, and we will have, we're inviting the veterans to come and walk at the front of the parade, so area and visiting veterans to participate in that walk. And we'll have a post-walk celebration from 9:30 to 10 a.m. after that walk with photo ops and other things. The Freedom Train is also happening in Heber City on the 4th, so they have 3 different times. The first one starts at 8 a.m., 10:30, and then 1 o'clock p.m. They're a 90-minute train. We have a cornhole competition that's happening at the Heber City Main Street Park that begins at 10 a.m., and you can pre-register for that as well. That's sponsored by the Wasatch Community Foundation. The Plein Air Art Exhibit will be happening in Midway City between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. And then we have a free lunch that's sponsored by Heber City. It's a hot dog lunch from 12 to 1, and that's while supplies last. We have some traditional games that will happen, like potato sack races, three-legged races, things like that, from 1 to 2 p.m. And then we'll have the Heber Market on Main starts at about 1 o'clock, and it will go until 9 o'clock p.m. From 2 to 2:30, we have the Hoses versus Guns tug of war. So this is our local fire department versus our Heber City Police Department are going to be going against each other in a friendly tug of war. From 2:30 to 3:30, we have a local athlete, Micah Gogan, who is sponsoring a strongman contest. And then 3:30 to 4, we have a pie eating contest and a root beer chugging contest. From 3:30 to 5:30, we'll have a eagle demonstration. So we've got a golden eagle and a bald eagle that will be at the park with a handler that will be doing some demonstrations. We'll announce the contest winners at 6 o'clock p.m. We have Stomp It Out Cloggers who are going to be performing on stage at 4:15 p.m. And then at 5, we have a local band, American Rooster, who will be performing an outdoor concert at the Heber City Main Street Park. And 6:30 to 9, we have National Park Radio, who is another band that will be performing. They're our main act. And then we culminate the event with fireworks on Memorial Hill that are sponsored by Midway City. So we have all of this information with the full schedule and, information to sign up for anything that requires a pre-registration on our website at HeberRedWhiteAndBlueFest.com. I would definitely check it out because there are pockets of time that may make more sense for you to visit than others. If you have special interest or you have barbecues in the evening, come in the morning, and definitely join us for fireworks that night.
It sounds like an incredibly packed event, not just in Heber City, but stretching all throughout the valley. Could you tell me a little bit about how this event got organized and what makes the Heber Valley Red, White, and Blue Fest different from past 4th of July celebrations?
Yeah, so I've heard years ago that Heber City actually used to be over the 4th of July event. However, I haven't seen a 4th of July event in the 20 years that I've lived here, aside from the small town celebration that Midway City puts on. And so what happened is, I've worked in this office for about 10 years, and there's a demand to have something here. Most people that live here go to Colville, they go to Park City, they go to Provo for the 4th of July because there's not a lot going on in the Heber Valley. And, I think one of the reasons why is there's just, the city workers and different people, they want to have that holiday to spend with their families. They don't want to be working an event. And so, knowing that when we went into this, we knew that we had to pull from volunteer organizations within the valley to help produce this event. And that's why you see, there's the Wasatch County Fire District, the Chamber, there's the Rotary, the school district, the Wasatch Community Foundation, a bunch of organizations that have their own pool of volunteers who stepped up and were willing to participate. They also saw a demand for an event on the 4th of July, and they've all, brought their special events to this. Another thing, that we realized, there were a few events happening on the 4th of July, but there was no overarching support for these events, specifically the Freedom Train that the railroad puts on, the fireworks that Midway City and the Midway Boosters put together. Midway City also has their small town 4th celebration, but we just really wanted to pull the whole community together and create something for everyone, because like I said, there definitely has been a demand to have something here in our community on the 4th of July.
Well, it definitely seems like you've done a fantastic job of bringing together all of those small little celebrations to really create something that's pretty spectacular. Is there anything that you're looking forward to yourself in particular?
Well, because I work for the Chamber, I'm going to put a plug in for the 5K and 10K run that we have organized. It's really special. It's the idea behind it is to connect the two communities, Heber City and Midway City, who are neighbors and to most people are one and the same. And that's why it starts at the Heber City Main Street Park, and the route takes you to Midway City's Main Street and then back. I think it's a great opportunity, whether you're athletic or not, to just get out and do something different on the 4th of July. And I would also suggest, if that's not quite your type of activity, the patriotic walk is something that I think will be a memorable experience for all. Just with the color guard and the support of the veterans and the costumed presidents and the things that are going to be part of that, will just bring this sense of community and pride and all of the things that you want to feel on the 4th of July.
Well, it sounds like it's a fantastic opportunity for anybody, no matter their interest, to get out and celebrate the birth of the nation. Well, thank you so much, Jessica, for joining us. And one more time before I let you go, where can people find more information?
Yeah, so it's Heber Red, White, and Blue Fest.com. And if you can't find it there, you can always revert to GoHeberValley.com, and you can navigate it from our homepage.
Awesome. Thank you so much to Jessica Broadhead from Go Heber Valley for joining us and sharing so much about such a wonderful event that they have coming up. And thank you once again.
Thank you.
We will be right back after a couple of messages here on Wasatch Weekends. Welcome back to the show. Tracy Miller has got a fantastic grilled chicken recipe for us to try for this holiday weekend. So let's take a quick look.
Just drying off my veggies because I did wash them, and I'm going to make a really nice salad today. And if you have a lot of moisture in your salad, then it's going to make the salad dressing and the lettuce kind of get a little bit too wet. So you don't want that. You don't want that last piece of salad bite just to be water. That would be gross, right? So today we are making chicken drumsticks, and we're going out on the grill to do that. And we're gonna buffalo style them and then make a salad that is gonna be a buffalo style salad as well. So it's like buffalo chicken, but a little bit healthier. And it's something that you can cook outside and have a cool green salad with. So what we have for ingredients today: great green salad, romaine, carrots, celery, green onions, and cucumbers. We've got the chicken legs that we're going to be using today. We have some Frank's hot sauce and then some blue cheese, because we're going to be making a blue cheese dressing to go with our buffalo chicken salad. So first things first, we need to head out to the grill. Grilling is one of my favorite ways to cook. Actually, I love cooking meat, veggies, fruit, everything on the grill. First of all, because you get to be outside, but also it's a pretty healthy way to cook, because typically you are not using a lot of oil or a lot of sauces or anything like that. So let's head out to the grill with your chicken thighs, and I'll show you exactly how to prep them and exactly how to cook those. They take about 35 minutes to reach an internal temperature of 185, and they are bone-in chicken legs. So there's a little trick to cooking with bone-in. We'll see you at the grill. The grill is cranking. I've got it preheating at top speed, or the highest it can go. I like to have my grill really, really hot, especially when I put some meat on it. Okay, so today here we have our chicken legs. Oh, almost lost that one. We have our chicken legs. They're nice and juicy right now. So what we want to do is kind of dry them off a little bit. The drier that you get them, the better that skin is going to crisp up. So just kind of dry them up and make sure the skin is kind of like in order and flat across everything. Okay. A lot of times when you dry your meat, like if you're cooking a piece of fish or something and you want to get a little crust on it, it's nice to leave it out in the air or in the fridge without any saran wrap on it, because that saran wrap is going to hold the moisture. But if you want a crispy edge, you really need it to be nice and dry. So here we go. Get that skin over there. A lot of people like to use different kind of marinades and things like that. I take it pretty simple. So all we're going to do right now is cover every piece of chicken with a ton of salt and pepper. And this is a step that I want you to be careful in. With every time that you're doing meat, make sure you're covering that. piece of chicken really nicely, because every bite counts. So why not make sure every bite has some nice seasoning? Like I said, my grill is cranking at 400. I am going to put the chicken right on the grill. A lot of folks like to oil their grill up. I just like to have a really hot grill. If you did want to put a little oil on your grill, then you should probably put a vegetable oil, something that can withstand a high heat. And be real careful, because you want to have that oil on your grill when it's hot. So one of my friends was just telling me a little trick that they do when they're oiling their hot grill, is they put a little bit of olive oil in a bowl, and then they cut an onion in half and stick a big fork in half the onion, put that onion in the olive oil, and then rub it all over their grill. I find like it's an unnecessary step, especially when you have something fatty like this chicken with the chicken skin on it, because what's gonna happen is that fat is gonna kind of lube up the grill a little, and you don't wanna be flipping things on your grill when they're not ready. So you want it to be hot enough that it's gonna flip nicely. This is gonna take a little bit of time. We're gonna keep the grill at a very high heat, and we're gonna shut it down, and then just about every 5 minutes or so, you're gonna flip your chicken over. That's gonna make it cook evenly. What happens when you're cooking with meat with the bone in? It's gonna take a little bit longer to cook versus just a chicken breast or a boneless chicken thigh or something like that. And you're gonna have to start rotating it so that it gets cooked evenly around. So when you're cooking something with the bone in, always make sure you have a lot of space in between your items so that the heat goes up and around everything. Keep it at a nice high heat. We want it like right around 400 degrees or so. A lot of these grill temperatures don't work, so just know you want it hot. And you're gonna stand here for 30, 35 minutes. That's about as long as it's gonna take to cook these to perfection, which is 185. Then that's gonna take us a little bit of time. You'll be able to tell if it's too hot, maybe some of the fat's starting to burn, or you see little fires starting on your chicken, then turn it down a little bit. But basically, keep it cranked pretty much to the top, unless you have one of those super fancy grills. Then think about 400, because if you have a super fancy grill, then that thing works. So keep it at about 400. Every 5 minutes or so, we're gonna flip it. So what we're gonna do now is just kind of chill right here and show you as we start to flip things. But for what you should do, cover it up, keep it closed, don't keep it open, keep it closed, keep your lid closed, and then every 5 minutes you start to turn that. So we'll be back in about 5-10 minutes and show you the next step, and then we'll kind of keep going every 10 minutes so you can see what ours looks like, but you can do it on your own time too. Okay, so this is gonna be our first flip, and actually I over-exaggerated the 5 minutes at first because I went and washed some dishes. So this is about 7 minutes or so. See how nice it comes off the grill? That's what you want. So that's starting to burn a little right there, so maybe I should have been back in 5 minutes, but that also means this is the hot spot. So we're gonna kind of rotate these things around so that they're all getting nice and warm. All right, about 5 minutes, that was about 7 minutes or so. Come back in 5, flip it over again. And what we're gonna do is flip it for 4 more times, so we'll be very close to the end next time I see you. We'll be right back. Okay, here we are. Been standing by the grill for about 35 minutes or so. Your chicken drumsticks should be cooked. You should have flipped them maybe 5 or 6 times. Again, don't get overzealous with the flipping. It's like some people are over stirrers when they're cooking veggies on the stovetop, and that ruins it. You want to get that sear. You want to let things sit for a little while and then flip them. We're flipping them so often because they have a bone in them, and they're going to take a little bit longer to cook for that reason. I have checked them already. They're at 185. Everything's getting nice and crispy, just like what we wanted with that skin. And I think it's time just to pull them off. So I'm just gonna pull all the chicken off. We're gonna make these buffalo style, and we're gonna make a nice fresh summer salad to go with them. So why don't you let everything burn off of your grill for a hot sec. Ha, really, literally for a hot sec. Let it burn off a little bit. We'll get these tossed with some buffalo sauce, and we'll get that nice fresh summer salad made so that we can have a really healthy meal.
This weather report is brought to you by Sun and Ski Sports, your new mountain sports headquarters.
Tracy Miller has been working on a fantastic grilled chicken recipe for us, so let's take a look at how she finishes up.
All right, I'm just coarsely chopping up the celery and the carrots. And you know, every time you order buffalo chicken wings, what do you get with it? Celery and carrots. So I thought, hey, why not enjoy those with our salad today? Plus, I'm a huge carrot fan, and they are so delicious and in season right now. I love celery as well, but celery happens to be one of the dirty dozen. Do you know what that is? That is 12 different veggies that you should really buy organic, because what happens is celery has a lot of water in it, so any of the nutrients that are going into the soil, they're going into your celery as well. Things with like a thick skin, like an avocado or a banana, you can typically buy those conventional if you want, but the thin-skinned veggies, fruits, you really want to buy those organic, and celery happens to be one of them. Okay, so I have celery and cucumber, and I actually have a conventional cucumber, so I did peel it, because when you get the English cucumbers and they come in the plastic, those are pretty nice and their peel isn't that bitter, so you can enjoy those, but the conventional ones, you just kind of want to peel because they do put like a waxy film on that. Okay, so we have our veggies all chopped up. We have our romaine, and then we have our chicken. In order to make this buffalo, and I'm going to tell you what, I have tried to make my own hot sauces millions of times, and I love a buffalo chicken salad. I actually love chicken wings as well. Try not to eat them that much because they are higher in fat, especially since we kept the skin on. But what I try to do is just try to make it as healthy as possible. That's why we're siding it with a salad, and we're using the bigger chicken legs too, so you're gonna get more meat under there, and that's gonna be a dark meat, so it's gonna have more flavor, it's gonna have more fat. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is take a bowl and get your Frank's Red Hot. I'll tell you what, like I said, I've tried many different hot sauces, and I have tried to make my own, and this one really, it's a favorite. It's a favorite of mine, and it's easy, and sometimes you just have to take those easy steps. You're definitely gonna get like a little more sodium and preservatives and something like this, but it lasts, so you can keep this in your cabinet and use it for other things, and it has a really, really nice flavor. So what we do now is we coat those in the bowl, and just make sure you're covering them. If I had another set of gloves, I would probably just use my hands for this, but I feel like they're kind of far away, so I'm not gonna go get them. Okay, so we're gonna let those sit right there for a minute and get our salad going. I'm gonna put the salad right on the plate that I had the chicken on, because first of all, if there were some nice flavors, like some juices on there, that would make everything taste really, really good. This lettuce looks awesome. I'm just gonna cut off the bottom. I don't wash my lettuce, I just make sure it's not dirty and wipe it off with a paper towel. Because going back to earlier when we started this class and I told you, hey, you don't want wet lettuce. I mean, if you're gonna take the time to wring it out in one of those salad wringers, definitely do that. But otherwise, you can just get most of the dirt off this way. And if you feel worried that you're gonna have any kind of contaminants on it or anything like that, wash it off and then dry it off with a paper towel. And that's a nice, easy thing to do with romaine, because it's got, you know, the boats where you can just kind of get right in there. Okay, another thing I like to do is chop my lettuce, because I don't like to rip it because it kind of starts to bruise it, and you don't want bruised lettuce on your salad. Romaine is so healthy and so good for you. I love it. It's just crispy and delicious. So here we go. We've got that, and we've got all our nice veggies, and I'm just going to put on top. I mean, this is going to be a filling meal, and it's going to be pretty light and super healthy as well. I read one time, carrots happen to be one of my favorite foods, no matter what, always have been. But I read one time, nobody ever got fat from eating a carrot stick. So pile it up with those carrot sticks because they're going to be nice and delicious and good for you. I'm just going to chop a little bit of green onion right now. And you can use the whites and the greens depending on how much you want. This is nice because these spring onions are so good during the spring and they're so good all through the summer. Actually, I use these quite a bit even in the winter because they're just a little more mild than some other onions are. Okay, so we're going to put those on the top at the end, but right now we are going to make our salad dressing. And what I noticed is that I didn't bring a jar. A lot of times I like to make a salad dressing with a jar. So I'm here in the studio and we have a nice wine glass and a plastic fork. So we are going to work with what we have here. Here is how you make salad dressing. Basically, you start with some olive oil. So I'm going to put in 1 part olive oil. And then you have an olive oil and something acidic. So we're going to use about a half a part, and all these measurements are in your recipe book, of white wine vinegar. We are going to use ample salt and pepper because this is what's giving us its flavor, although I'm going to sprinkle a little on the salad. And then we are going to use a bunch of blue cheese. We can sprinkle a little bit of the blue cheese right here on the salad as well. You could use feta if you wanted to too. So finish that up right there and then just stir it up really nicely. Seriously, it's that simple, my friends. That is our blue cheese vinaigrette. Look how delicious it looks. Okay, so we've got that nice and kind of stirred up. You can put it in your blender too if you really like your blue cheese chunks to be kind of not so chunky. Okay, so now we have our salad. I'm going to bring it right up here nice and close. I feel like I'm having a glass of wine with my summer salad. I kind of wish I was doing that. All right, let's get our chicken and make sure it's nice and covered with that Frank sauce. And we're going to put just a couple pieces right here on top. Let me get one of those. So it's going to be a messy one. If you're taking this on a picnic or out onto your patio, make sure you have a lot of paper towels. Now I'm going to sprinkle it with a little bit of green onion. I don't know why, I just feel like I always have to have green onion on my chicken legs. Don't forget, those are at 185 for temperature. We've got our really light sauce, and we're just going to pour that right on top. So like I said, this can be enjoyed when it's nice and when it's warm outside and you want to have things at room temperature. You can always bring this for a picnic. Just make sure you put your chicken in a cooler and keep it cool and don't let it get to a weird temperature. But you can really enjoy it when it's at a room temperature. So if you did want to take this on a picnic, it would be a nice healthy meal for you. That chicken skin is not going to be the healthiest part, of course, but the meat in there is going to give you a lot of protein, and the salad is plentiful and fresh. And this is what we made today. I hope you got some good grilling tips. Grilling with a bone, you just have to keep on flipping it, keep flipping it. You can also bake your chicken thighs if you want to, or your chicken legs if you want to. You would just put them in the oven at 400 degrees, and again, you'd be flipping them and rotating them every 5 to 7 minutes or so.
Welcome back to the show. We are speaking to Bill Humbert, a well-known recruiter who is going to give us some advice on how to begin our careers if we were younger, and a little bit more on how to try and encourage youth employment and the advantages that that can provide for us. So welcome here. Welcome, Bill Humbert.
Hey, Ben, thanks. It's great to be here.
It's great to have you. So you're talking a little bit about how to encourage youth employment, and is there anything that you have personally that experienced to set you off on your path?
I do. You know, you talked earlier about working at 10, I think. I think I beat you by a year. I got my first Washington Daily News paper route at age 9, and that was a business because they would deliver the papers to me, and then at the end of the month they'd send me a bill, and then I'd have to collect from all of my customers and then send them what I owed them, and the balance was for me. So at age 10, I started a Washington Post paper route, and that paper route was really fun. I was making $140 a month, quite a bit of that on tips, because I was getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning as a 10-year-old and delivering papers to all of my customers. It was over 100 of them, and getting them out before they had their first coffee. Excuse me. And I made $140 a month, which today is, excuse me, the equivalent of $1,500 per month.
That's pretty incredible. And as I know that as when I was working as a kid, it was definitely nice to have a little bit of that of my own money. But more importantly, it helped me with the skills of talking about money and really trying to help manage that. Is that something that you found?
Absolutely. You know, a lot of my money that I made, I put right into savings. So at age 12, I went to my dad and I said, you know, the public school system wants to put me into shop class. I'm smarter than that. They don't take into account my getting up early in the morning and delivering papers and collecting for them at night. And I said, so I applied to DeMatha Catholic High School in Hyattsville, Maryland. And I was accepted after taking the test, and they put me in the top college prep class. And my dad said, I can't afford to send you to private school. I said, no problem. I'm making $400 or $140 a month. DeMatha costs $450 for the year. I got it covered. So I paid my way through high school, through the high school I wanted to go, with the money that I made from my paper route.
That's pretty fantastic. And so why did you choose that school in particular? Was it because of that college prep opportunity, or was there some other particular reason?
Well, you know, of course, you have friends that are bragging about where they're going to go to high school and stuff like that. But at the same time, instead of being in shop class, I'd be in college prep. And I knew I was smart enough to be in college prep. So I wanted to be at the place that would put me in college prep.
Totally. So when we're starting out our careers as young adults, what is something that can really help us with? I know that there's that constant refrain in the United States of many, many millionaires and billionaires started working really young, even started at McDonald's. Is there anything that you might recommend for kids to really look for when they're trying to get that first job, when they're really starting out on their first career?
Well, the important thing about first jobs is just to start working and learn what it is that you like doing in the workplace, and also what it is you do not like doing. You know, I did some research before we had our interview, and I thought, I wonder how many millionaires got their start at McDonald's. It's amazing. There's a list. Jeff Bezos of Amazon, founded Amazon and Blue Origin, and it's worth $94 billion. He's got his start at McDonald's. Rapper Pharrell Williams, model and actress Andy McDowell, singer-songwriter Andy Grammer, TV personality and author Star Jones. You know, if you just go to Google and say, what millionaires worked at McDonald's, they'll tell you. And it's amazing how important those first jobs are, because that's when we develop our work ethic.
Absolutely. It was one of the most important things that I learned when I was very first starting out working, was to not just stand around. Like, if looks like you could help, help. Don't wait for somebody to ask for help or tell you that you need to do something. To constantly be on the lookout for another way to contribute value and to help. What about from the perspective of the employers? Is there any reason that you think that an employer in particular should try and take a risk on somebody who doesn't have a lot of experience in the job market or has never had a real job before?
It's not that big a risk. They're not paying tons of money. Obviously, they're paying more than when I was working back then, but it's not a huge risk for them. Walmart's constantly hiring and looking for people who are motivated. All of the fast food places are always looking for help. And so those first jobs, the employers know that this person needs to be trained and kind of motivated and, even mentored on, if you're stocking shelves, what to look for and how to bring product out to the front. So once you start learning what's needed, then you're developing a reputation for doing those things. And then that helps build you references for your future for the even better jobs.
Speaking of those references, is that something that you think a lot of those students could be looking for in those first jobs, is a mentorship opportunity and really trying to look to build a mentor relationship with somebody? Or would you recommend just really trying to get a little bit more of a feel for things and during those spring breaks, take some opportunities to try different jobs and kind of work around? I know that a lot of recruiters say that you want to try and stay at a place for at least a year, if not two, before moving on to another opportunity. What would you say about that?
It depends on the level you are. If you're a new person, then, maybe not. Maybe it's one of those things where you go and you stay 6 months, a year. You don't need to be there 2 years, but stay there for a little bit of time, enough time to develop the skills that you need to leverage those to your next job. So that's what I would suggest about the early jobs. Now, once you've graduated from college, if you go to college or if you go into trades, stay there for a longer period of time because there's going to be more to learn.
That totally makes sense. I mean, I know that some jobs like stocking shelves, for example, that might not be quite as much to learn as some more complicated things like a plumber's assistant. But if we're moving on to how these students can get in touch with potential employers, how would you recommend that employers who are either looking for high school students or high school students who are looking for their first job to kind of help get in touch with each other?
Well, finding an entry-level job is easy. You can go into a shopping center and line up a job like that. Or here in Park City, Utah, you go up Main Street and there's help wanted signs all the way up and down Main Street. So those are, just walk in and say, hey, what I see you're hiring people. What are you looking for? And if it's something you feel you can do, I mean, it can be a cashier position. It can be stocking shelves. It can be a greeter maybe. So, by the way, greeters need to know where things are. So there's all kinds of opportunities, landscaping, construction. Follow whatever your interest is and see if it is something you want to do long-term or not.
Would you have any recommendations for businesses trying to reach out to people entering the job market? And I know that there's a pretty consistent hiring shortage across the West right now. Is there anything that you think that some businesses could do to help encourage new people to enter their workforce?
Well, absolutely. One of the things you want to do, if you keep seeing the same person coming in, say, hey, let's get together because it looks like you like our shop. And, would you like to work here and get a discount on the things that you're buying? And they come in more than once a week, they're very interested in whatever it is that business has to offer, fast food or not. Those are the people you want to talk to first. The other thing is, be friendly with people. And then when they come to check out, just say, hey, we're looking to hire someone to stock shelves, someone to be a cashier. Who do you know that you would recommend to us to talk to? And then ask, do you have their phone number? And then give them a call. Recruiting is a sales process.
What about for businesses that aren't quite as active in the community, I guess, is maybe not active, but that don't have quite of a social presence, like a landscaper or a construction company. They don't have a storefront and they don't necessarily have people walking in.
Well, you network. You talk to everybody you know. You talk to your customers. Your customers may even have children that they would like to get motivated and out of the house and into a job just so that they can start learning how to work. So it's a networking process. And you know, as I coach career seekers, many times what I hear from them is, but I don't know how to network. And I laugh and I say, you're just being silly now. and they go, why do you say that? And I say, because you've been networking since you were 4. Remember when you were 4 years old and a brother or sister or a friend walked by with an ice cream cone? Didn't you say, where'd you get that? That's networking.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has friends, and leveraging our friends network is a great way to get out there. One last question I have before I let you out. Do you have any recommendations for a book to any of our, listeners or viewers who might just be trying to start in the job market? Any book that you might recommend that help them get started?
Absolutely, Ben. You know, one of the best books that I've ever read for recruiting primarily professionals, but it applies to everybody, is this book right here, Top Grading, How Leading Companies Win by Hiring, Coaching, and Keeping the Best People. And it's by Dr. Bradford Smart. And in this book, one of the questions he suggests that managers ask employees or candidates, did you work in high school? And if they said yes, then you ask, what did you do? And then you ask, why did you work in high school? And if they say, I found that I could have financial freedom, I could buy the things I wanted with my money instead of having to go to mom and dad. And then as a result of all of that, I learned some financial literacy. That's the right answer. If they said, mom and dad made me go to work, that shows a little bit of a lack of motivation.
Well, it totally sounds reasonable to me and a great thing to look for in potential employees. Bill, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. Is there any way that people can reach you or get a hold of you if they have further questions?
I'm easy to find. I'm RecruiterGuy.com. And if you want to talk to me either from my talent attraction business side of things or from career search or even proper goal setting, I'm at, you can just go to RecruiterGuy.com and click with Speak with Bill, and that'll put you on my calendar.
Well, Bill, thank you so much for your time, and we appreciate you stopping by. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Ben. It was nice chatting with you.
Nice talking to you, too. And unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this segment. We're going to go take a short break, and we will return in just a minute.
This weather report is brought to you by Sun and Ski Sports, your new mountain sports headquarters.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning for Wasatch Weekends. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow where we will check in with Nuzzles & Co. for this week's adorable adoptable animal, and we'll be getting some tips for applying for student loans this summer. Until then, I'm Ben Roof, and we will see you tomorrow.